করছো? সেটা ভেঙেছো একটা, তারপরেও থামেনি তোমার দিকে। হ্যালো, এই যে একটা মচ করে ভাঙলে। আমাদের হকি ছোট ছোট, আমাদের হকি ভেঙেছো, অফিস থেকে ফেলো। কেটে দিয়েছো? ঠিক আছে আমি দিয়ে দিচ্ছি। হ্যাঁ? ঠিক আছে। feed দাও না তোমার। যাওয়ার সময় তোমার দিও।
Yes?
তোমার দাও। নিয়ে নাও।
Okay, 1 minute.
না আসছে, বলো রে। দিও।
Yes?
আমি কিন্তু আর বলবো না কিছু ওখানে।
Hang on, give me 5 minutes.
Hello guys, this is Brightside, and this video is all about how to use NVIDIA NV encoding and how to set it up. Now, with one of the latest updates from OBS, you get this option in advanced. Use NVIDIA NV ENC, and then you get presets for that. Basically, people with GTX cards, that is with NVIDIA cards, 600 series and 700 series, can use some of the hardware on the GPU to hardware encode live streamage. That is, you can stream with your graphics card. Now, I spoke about shadow play, and if you're looking at this video, you've already seen it. Basically, the same feature is now implemented in OBS. Now, I'm pretty sure that some of you have already tried this out, but you get an error. That happens to people who do not opt for beta drivers for their NVIDIA card, like myself, and there is a simple solution. Just check the links below this video and you get DLL files for the 64-bit of OBS and then the 32-bit of OBS. Just click on the link and download the file for the current version of OBS you're using, and simply copy and paste it in the same directory where your OBS is installed. If you're using the DLL, every time you launch OBS, you'll get a prompt to update your OBS. Just cancel that. Or, I mean, you can update, but then you have to redo the first thing. You have to copy-paste things back. But if you opt for the beta drivers for NVIDIA, then you don't have to worry about finding a DLL to replace the one DLL that is causing issues with OBS, etc, etc. Now, in this video, I've included a recording, local recording of both using NVIDIA ENC on high quality and X264 preset faster, that is using my CPU. Just a heads up, I have an i7 4770K CPU. I'm not overclocking. 16 gigs of RAM. I'm running two-way SLI 780. With NVIDIA NVENC, you get no CPU usage, very, very low, if next to nothing. And maybe about 10% of your graphics card is being used during the process, but then again, depends on the graphics card you're having. With the X264 CPU, a lot of your CPU resources are being used to software encode. And of course, as you can see in the video, the end quality is much better using your CPU than using the hardware encoding from your GPU. Still, if you have a slow CPU, but then you have, for some reason, NVIDIA graphics card 660, 650 and above, and if you're not using a camera, for example, or if you're playing games like Pokemons, like card games and all, you can achieve a pretty decent quality, even with the NVIDIA NVENC. Also another thing, the bitrate is 3000 and the FPS is 48 frames per second. In my personal opinion, I'm not gonna be using this unless I'm allowed to live stream on Twitch with a higher bitrate, which is not going to happen anytime soon. As always, thank you for watching, rate, comment, subscribe if you will, and take care of yourselves.
Hi guys, and welcome to another video. In this video I'm going to be showing you guys how to set up OBS multi-platform to record using NVENC and 1080p 60fps. Now, I'm actually recording, it's really weird, I'm recording using two versions of the software right now, so I'm going to hopefully be able to walk you through everything. Hopefully things don't get a little glitchy here, but anyway, you'll notice right off the bat, my CPU usage for my recording, you'll get a screen that looks like this. You're going to basically want to pick the right display. If you're not sure, just switch through them. You'll be able to tell which one's which by moving your mouse over to it. And then make sure you click on Capture Cursor and hit OK. So we've gone ahead and done that. Next thing we need to do is go ahead and edit all of our OBS settings. So we're going to go to File, Settings, and we're going to walk through this pretty simply. The first thing you may notice, I'm using the dark theme. I'm not sure if that's the default or not, but I really like it, so you can switch to the default if you'd rather. The next thing that I do, I skip the stream tab entirely. We're not using this for streaming, we're doing it for recording. We're going to go to Output, and we're going to switch to the Recording tab. And for the output mode, we want to check on Advanced here. For the type, we want to use Standard. Go ahead and pick a recording path. You can click Browse and then find a recording path. I use my F drive as my recording drive. The recording format, now this is very important. You have to click MP4. You can record in FLV, but it's got some poor compatibility issues, so I use MP4. And then for the audio tracks, if you're using multi-track audio, go ahead and check the tracks that you need. If you're not sure, you may want to click all 4. And then when you're in your editing program, see if you get actually 4 audio tracks. If you're not sure about this either, if you have no idea what that means, I have another video that I'm going to be uploading, so go ahead and check for that in the description on the multi-track recording. Alright, this next part is pretty important. You're going to want to check on NVENC, obviously, because that's what you're here for. You don't want to rescale output, even if you have a high-res display like I do. I have a 1440p display. You don't want to rescale the output of that. You want to go ahead and leave it unchecked there, so it'll do basically the default there. So leave it unchecked, and we're going to go down to the next settings. We're going to use the main profile. Now, you can use baseline or high. I would really recommend you use main. These will affect the quality and the sort of performance of the encoding, but I would, like I said, I would recommend you use main. The keyframe interval, I set it to 2. I'm not really sure what this setting does, but everywhere that I've seen recommends you set it to 2 or 0, and 0 is auto, but I don't like auto. I like everything being constant. Speaking of constant, rate control, you're going to use constant bitrate, and the bitrate that you're going to set here is 50,000. Now that seems like a lot, but this is basically what's used by the NVIDIA Shadow Play program. That's why I picked it for this, and it works pretty much perfect. So I use 50,000 for that. The next thing we're going to do, we're going to check Advanced. Now, I'm only going to show you this because I changed this setting, but I don't think you need to. I changed this low latency because I was experiencing some jitter in a couple games, but I don't think it's necessary, and I think it's actually something to do with my display drivers. So if you have some jittery issues, you may check the low latency and see if that helps, but I'm only showing you that because that is one thing that I've changed that I don't really
Today
know
I'm going to
if
show
it
you
should be
how
changed.
to
So,
change
anyway,
a list
aside
of
from
all
that, I
the
didn't change anything
optional
under
resolutions you
advanced.
can have.
So go ahead and hit
I'm running
apply
on a
to those
virtual machine.
settings. That'll set this all up just like that. The next thing we're going to do is go over to audio, and you're going to want to go ahead and set your track bitrate. I set mine to 192. You can go higher if you'd like to, and you'll also have to do that for each track that you're recording. So if you're doing the multi-track recording, make sure you set the labels in here to what you want them to be, so they show up inside the thing down here. So should make sense, but that's that. The next thing we're going to go down to, we're going to go ahead and hit apply. Now you guys should be able to set up your audio settings on your own, but just in case you need some help with that, for the desktop audio device, you're going to pick on your speakers, whichever they may be that come out of your computer. Now if you're not sure how to find that, I'll show you that in a second. Same thing for your mic on auxiliary. You're going to want to set your line in or whatever it may be, and the rest of them you're going to disable. I use stereo, and then I also use 48,000 hertz. You can use 44.1. I use 48. It doesn't matter. Not a big deal. If you're trying to figure out which one is which, a really easy way to do that is if you go to, really quickly, oops, we'll hit cancel on that. If you go down here and you right click on your little speaker icon and you go to recording devices or playback devices, either one, if you click on the playback tab, you'll see all of your playback devices, and the one with the green check mark is the one that you're using. Same thing with the recording, the one with the green check mark, and then you can just get the name right here. So line in Tascam US366. If we go back into our audio settings, you'll see the line in Tascam US366 right there. Alright, now this next part is pretty important as well. So we're going to go through the video settings here on the left. For the renderer, I use Direct3D 11. This actually has a lower CPU usage than OpenGL. So you may want to mess with it and just see which one works better for you, but Direct3D 11 is almost twice as fast in terms of the